Hello there. Today we are going to talk about very basics of SQL Server transactions. Imagine you need to perform several related database operations that must either all succeed or all fail together. For example, let us say transferring money from one bank account, let's say account A, which has balance of 1000, to another bank account, which is account B, has balance of 2000. This involves two main steps: deducting the amount from the source account and adding the amount to the destination account. As per our example seen here, when step 1 succeeds, account A balance becomes 950. When step 2 succeeds, account B balance becomes 2050. That's all good and everyone happy. What if step 1 succeeds but step 2 fails? Maybe due to a network error or server crash. You'd end up with money disappearing from the source account but not appearing in the destination account. That is a disaster. When it comes to SQL Server, a concept called transaction groups these multiple steps into a single logical unit of work. In SQL Server, if you want to group set of steps together, before you start your steps, you need to create the transaction by saying begin transaction. Then you perform your individual operations. As per our example, first we deduct the money from account A and see if it is successful. Then you add the money to destination account. When both operations are successful, we can tell SQL Server, okay, it's all correct. Now you can commit your transactions. That's a happy scenario. But what if the first operation is successful, but second operation fails? Then we need to tell SQL Server to reverse the operations carried so far. So we tell SQL Server roll back the transaction, which cause SQL Server go in the reverse order and undo its changes step by step. This makes database in consistent state with data integrity protected. That's how transactions works in SQL Server. You might already hear about ACID properties of a transaction. ACID properties are the four pillars of a transaction, which allows SQL Server and also other relational databases to implement this transaction feature correctly. So what are these ACID properties? ACID stand for A stand for atomicity, C stand for consistency, I stand for isolation, and D stand for durability. Now let us take these four properties and see more details on them. First, take a look at atomicity. Think of it as all or nothing. What it means is, in atomic transaction is treated as a single indivisible unit. Either all operation within the transaction complete successfully and are permanently recorded in the database, or none of them are recorded. If they are part of the transaction fails, the entire transaction is cancelled and the database is returned to the state it was in before the transaction started. This is called rolling back the transaction. For example, if we have four operations in our transaction, and if all of these transactions are successful only, the transaction gets recorded permanently in the database. We call it committing the transaction to the database. So why it is important? Because it prevents partial updates that could leave your database in inconsistent or incorrect state. For example, if two of the operations successful but third one failed, the SQL Server need to reverse or roll back the whole transaction including successful two operations. How does it implemented in SQL Server? In SQL Server uses transaction log. In addition to the database file, there is another file called transaction log file. We keep track of all changes made within a transaction in this transaction log. If a transaction need to be rolled back, SQL Server use this log file to undo those changes. If an error occurs during a transaction, SQL Server will often automatically initiate a rollback reading this file. In our example, when each operation is carried out, log of is written to the transaction log in before the actual change in the database. If all operations are successful, we commit the transactions and make those changes permanent in database. However, let's say only first two operations were successful. Log of it will be written to the transaction log and database will be updated accordingly. But then some kind of a disaster happens and operation 3 fails. So SQL Server will roll back two successful operations by undoing the changes done to the database. This is done by reading the transaction log. Then transaction log entries are also removed like nothing happened, and it goes to the state which was there before the transaction even started. Consistency. Think of it as valid state to valid state. What it means is a transaction brings the database from one valid state to another valid state. It doesn't mean transaction logic itself is perfect. You could accidentally transfer wrong amounts, but it ensures that the transaction adhere to all defined database rules and constraints. These rules include things like constraint like primary key or foreign key, unique constraint or check constraint. For example, for a check constraint is a balance must be greater than 0. And other constraints like data types. Database makes sure that the data types match and doesn't allow to enter strings into the number fields. Then triggers keep the database logic and automatically runs on insert, updates or deletes. If a transaction would violate any of these rules, it cannot be committed and it will be automatically rolled back. So why it is important? It's important because it maintains the integrity of the database and the data inside it. It enforces the structure and the business rules defined within the database schema. When it comes to SQL Server automatically checks for constraint violations and execute triggers as part of the transaction. If a violation occurs, the transaction fails and the operation will be rolled back. For example, let's take our bank transfer example. Let's say you have a check constraint on balance column of your account table that says balance cannot be less than 0. You try to transfer 200 from account A, which only has 150 as the balance. Followed by this operation, we have 3 more other operations. You start the transaction saying begin transaction, and then you deduct the 200 from account A. So when you deduct the 200, account A balance temporarily becomes minus 50 within that transaction scope. You carry out the rest of the operations as well. It can be any operation, but for simplicity we don't consider what they are. When you try to commit the transaction, SQL Server check all these constraints defined in the database and data types and triggers. It sees that the account A balance is negative, which violates the check constraint. Because of the consistency and the constraint, the commit fails. So that when transaction try to commit, because the check constraint failed, the whole transaction fails. So the transaction automatically rolled back. Account A's balance returned to 150. The database remains in the valid state where no account has a negative balance. So database and data in the database remain consistent state. Isolation. Think of it as transaction don't step on each other's toes. What that means? It means multiple transactions running at the same time should not interfere with each other. From the perspective of one transaction, it should appear as if it is the only one transaction running on the database. This prevents various concurrency problems, like one transaction reading data that another transaction is changing but hasn't committed yet, or two transactions trying to update the same data simultaneously in conflicting ways. Why it is important? Well, allow multiple users or applications to access and modify the database concurrently without causing errors or returning incorrect results. In SQL Server, it provides different isolation levels like read uncommitted, read committed, repeated reads, snapshot, and few more others. Each isolation level control how much isolation you get for transaction. Higher isolation level provides stronger guarantee but can sometimes impact performance because SQL Server might need to use more locks or versioning to keep transactions separate. The default level in SQL Server is read committed, which prevents reading data that another transaction has modified but not yet committed, known as dirty reads. In our example, in our banking example, let's take two transactions. Let's say transaction 1 want to transfer 100 from account A to B. Then the transaction 2 want to create a report on account balances of the account A and account B. Transaction 1 start to transfer $100 from account A to account B. The begin transaction, and it then go to the operation of deducting balance from account A and prepare to add it to the account B, but it's still not at this stage. Account A balance, at this point, account A balance temporarily become 900, but not committed because not all the steps are completed. At the exact same time, transactions do start to read the balances of account A and account B to generate the report. Because of the isolation, transaction 2 will typically not see temporary state where account A has been debited, but account B hasn't been credited yet, especially with the default read committed isolation level. Transaction 2 will likely see the balance as they were before transaction 1 started, or it might have to wait until transaction 1 is fully committed before reading. This ensures transaction 2 gets consistent view of the data even though it's running concurrently with a transaction that modifying the same data. Durability. Think of as changes are permanent even after a crash. Once a transaction has been successfully committed, those changes are permanent and will survive even if the database server crashes or loses power or restart immediately after the commit. The committed data is stored in a way that guarantees it won't be lost. So why it is important? Because it ensures that once a user or application gets confirmation that the transaction is completed, they can trust that the changes have truly been saved and won't be disappear after that. In SQL Server, when you commit transaction, SQL Server ensures that the record of the transaction's changes are written to the transaction log first. This process is done very efficiently and fast, so there is very little chance of failure during log writing time. Writing to the log is typically faster than writing to the actual data pages on the disk. Even if the server crashes after log record is safely written, but before the changes are written to the main data disk, SQL Server can use the transaction log during the startup recovery to redo the committed transaction and ensure the data files reflect the committed state. So now we talk about all four ACID properties. ACID properties are the backbone of reliable database system like SQL Server. Out of all four these properties, isolation is the property we can configure mostly on SQL Server. Atomicity and durability is automatically implemented in the SQL Server core code to make sure all transactions are adhered to them. Although we define rules, business rules via constraints and triggers, for consistency, enforcing them once they are defined and enabled are automatic. There's no intervention required from us. So, however, the isolation property is much more configurable. This is because there is a trade-off between high isolation and performances. Therefore, SQL Server allows users to choose several predefined isolation levels based on the performance requirement they want. So let's explore more on isolation level in our next module. Thank you.